Hello and welcome back to Song Surveys on Sofas with Superheroes, the sub-series. So last week we did a newer song, so this week we're going to go back and do an old school song. This band and album in particular really tackled the issues of depression and suicide. So if you feel like you need to talk to someone, please call 800-273-8255 or text HOME to 741-741. Again, the number is 800-273-8255 or text the word HOME to 741-741. So the song I decided to go with by Park is Dear Sweet Impaler, and definitely a pretty significant song that's packed with a lot of emotions and feelings and different things. So let's get started. The song opens with an instrumental part, and then the music drops for the first verse. I really love the first line. The thin part is feeling so separate. I really love the description of thin part. I think it's really interesting. It's definitely something that isn't often used to describe emotions or things in that realm of living. So I like that the thin verse is like sad or hard or something like that. I think the word thin was definitely an interesting choice, and definitely makes me think about what that could possibly mean to the singer, and I really like that. Then the second to last line is something that I really, again, I think is an interesting line. You'll find yourself faster when passed out cold. So the verse talks a lot about drinking. Don't sleep, don't think, just drink, and then you'll find yourself faster when passed out cold. So I think, again, that's a really interesting concept, that kind of drinking can take all these things away. It doesn't make you think, and you kind of just pass out cold instead of actually sleeping. Like, there's a difference between being passed out and sleeping. And maybe that has to do with like the dreaming part, although the word dream is not in this song at all. So again, I like that idea of like, nope, dude, just drink, get passed out, don't worry, like, don't think about the issue, don't sleep on it, just like, numb your mind to everything that's going on. So I really think that that's an interesting start to the song, and kind of gives the listener an idea of maybe what's to come in the song. So I really think the first verse is pretty good. So the last line in the first verse is actually repeated as the last line in the second verse, and also in the chorus as well. So the line is, where are you tonight? So it's kind of sung in the background of the first verse. And then the music changes and builds into the chorus. I think it's interesting. So the chorus talks not only about the person that the singer is singing about, but also kind of mentions that the singer's brothers won't be there to see the singer ask, where are you tonight? So that's where that line comes in. And also the chorus is kind of where this dear sweet idea comes in. So it says, screaming for dear sweet you, is the last line in the chorus. So I really love the use of dear sweet, especially because dear sweet you, when the song is called Dear Sweet Impaler, which will come in later. And I think the use of that now in the chorus definitely makes, when you finally hear the Dear Sweet Impaler part, so much more significant. So I really love that choice. It was so well done. And again, it's almost like you're kind of not thinking about it in a Dear Sweet. You're like, oh, okay, that's where the name of the song comes from, but it's really not. So I really do like that choice to use you instead of Impaler in the chorus. I think that was a really good choice. Then there's this awesome instrumental transition into the second verse. And the second verse introduces the idea of the singer wanting to hang themselves. It says, the worst part is being so desperate. This basement, a noose, and a casket. I really, again, just like the description, the way it's just kind of laid out for you. Basement, noose, and then eventually a casket. So I think it was a definitely like interesting choice, and I like that the lyrics are so simple, and it kind of gives the listener exactly what the listener needs to make their own inferences about what's going on. And then after that, they talk about wanting to feel warmth and being asleep in my hands, and like guaranteeing that this person will be asleep in their hands. So I think it definitely has a lot of interesting points about what the singer thinks will be accomplished by this, and whether it's really something that they like want to go through with, or maybe just the attempt of it would make this person come back to them. I don't know, just like a super interesting verse. And yeah, so I really think that again, the song definitely has a lot of powerful lyrics in it and talks about a lot of powerful concepts and ideas. And this verse just does that fairly well, I think, in an interesting way. So then the song builds up to the chorus again, and they repeat the chorus, and then after the chorus, there's pretty much like no break, and it goes right into the bridge, which pretty much the bridge of the song, in my opinion, makes the song fantastic. It's why I love this song. It's definitely the part that grabs me the most emotionally, and really just kind of an amazing end to this song. So the first lyric is, "So why not end it all in one shot? This rope tied in a perfect knot," which is repeated twice. And so it's interesting because, and I'll explain it a little bit later, because further in the bridge you hear this sound that kind of immediately, so end it all in one shot made me immediately think of a gun. But then when he talks about the rope, and you know, the fact that he talks about the noose in the previous verse now is definitely like, okay, so wait, are we talking about shot as in gun? Or are we talking about shot as in like just do it in this one moment of hanging yourself? And the reason, again, like, so now having listened to it and analyzed it, I definitely think it has more to do with the noose part and the hanging, but I'm gonna still talk about the song as if I didn't kind of have this revelation, and I'll tell you about my revelation in a second when I get to that part. But so anyway, so I'm thinking in terms of gunshot when you say shot, and then I'm thinking in terms of noose when you say perfect knot. So that's definitely like the first part of the bridge. It gets repeated twice, and then different lyrics with the same music come up, and it's better than anything I've ever had. It won't lose its grip or stop kissing my neck. So I think this whole 2 lines or 3 lines is like super loaded with these like double meanings and possible interpretations. You know, the fact that the singer thinks that this is the best that they've had, better than anything, is it talking about the rope right in this perfect knot? Or is it going back to, you know, this person and that they're talking about and the love that they shared together? But I definitely think at this point it's better than anything I had, because it goes right into "it won't lose." So I think it's talking about the rope, which is interesting. And then the line "it won't lose its grip" is just like so multifaceted, and I love that, right? So obviously it won't lose its grip around the neck if the singer decides to do this, but also like people lose grip with like reality, and just kind of like their relationship lost grip with each other. So like I just really like that line, and I think it was clever. As sad as the meaning behind it might be, it was definitely an interesting line. And then, or stop kissing my neck, right? So obviously this person had this affection. The singer had an affection towards this person, and, you know, they were like intimate with each other. And now they're saying that, you know, well, if you're not going to be the one who's, you know, showing me affection the way that I need to feel, then possibly this rope will be your replacement. So definitely some interesting lines. And I think, again, it's like this multifaceted part of the song, and I really, again, the bridge is so fantastic. So yeah, so I really thought that that was an interesting way to express those things in the song. So then there's this huge shift in the music, and it just becomes so simpler, and it's pretty much, I want to say it's just a bass and guitar. I could be totally wrong, and if you know, please comment and tell me what I'm missing. But it's at least just a guitar and possibly a bass. And again, the lyrics just kind of continue with this powerful feeling, and I really, again, I mean, I love this part of the song. The whole ending of this song is fantastic. So desperation sets in, holding me close, much like you did. And I think that that's important, especially because the first verse talks about separation. The second verse talks about desperation, and that's where you really get into the whole idea of basement, noose, and casket. So I think the fact that they went with desperation instead of this feeling of separation kind of tells the story. So I thought that was an interesting choice. And again, holding me close, much like you did. So now again, he's kind of like the whole like kissing my neck, and now this whole like, this is holding me close like you used to do, and now you're not here, so this is kind of what I have. So yeah, I think that was an interesting choice. And then in this part of the song, this is where you get your Dear Sweet Impaler. This is where the song title really comes in. And the line is, "Dear Sweet Impaler, it's all you this time." So one, I definitely think after hearing Dear Sweet You twice in the chorus, this Dear Sweet Impaler definitely brings in some emotion. It brings in some feeling. Now this person is the impaler, right? It's not just you anymore. You are now this thing that goes into, you know, and impales and hurts. But also I think it's interesting, it's all you this time, because now there's some shift in blame possibly and responsibility. Like, it's your fault. This time it's all you. And again, going back to the whole like gunshot versus hanging, impaler to me is like something that enters. So this is again where I kind of had that idea of possibly shifting to a gunshot as opposed to hanging. So yeah, it definitely adds some interesting things. And then the next line is definitely one of the lines in the song that grabbed me the most. And it's not necessarily the words, it's kind of the thing that happens in the end of the line. So the line is there, "It's here to remind me how much I hate this." And then you hear this like bang, and then the word life is at the end. So the whole line is, "It's there to remind me how much I hate this life." But the way that it's saying is, it's there to remind me how much I hate, and then there's like a pause, this, and then there's like this bang, and then life. So I always assumed that it was the gunshot going off, that was like it, that was the one shot, and this was the Dear Sweet Impaler. But now after listening to it again and kind of going through the lyrics and thinking about it, I think it's a little bit different. So I think it's, again, like a super interesting choice. Definitely had to rethink it and thought of other things. But yeah, I really liked that line, and I liked that part in that line, and I thought it definitely kind of like takes your breath away in shock, and you're like, oh my God, did that just happen in this song? But what changed my mind is actually the third verse. So right after this kind of life, right, there's a little bit of like a screaming, and it kind of like goes into the lyrics. So it's like the screaming, the lyrics kind of come in for this third verse, and then the screaming kind of fades out as the lyrics continue, which again, great choice, especially after you hear this sound. But now that I kind of have really thought about the third verse, I think what that sound is supposed to be is the door slamming, especially because in the third verse, he talks about how the person walked out on them screaming. So it makes sense that you would hear the door slam and then the screaming kind of fades out. So I think that that's what that noise is supposed to be. And again, if you know, please comment. I would love to kind of get my theories straight on the song. But yeah, so I think that's what it is. I think it's the slamming of the door, which totally makes sense, especially in terms of reminding this person every day that this is happening, right? You walk out the door, you go into the door, you see the door. It's something that we use every day. So if that was the moment, them slamming the door as you're screaming for them and kind of regretting what you said to them, then yeah, I could definitely see that as being this impaler and this whole thing that reminds them. So yeah, so now that I've analyzed the third verse, I think that might be what it is. Anyway, I also think a line in the third verse, which is super interesting, is, "I swear by my wrists we're better than this." And again, just like the thought of, you know, so we've talked about hanging, we've talked about potentially a gunshot with this whole shot and impaler part, but now he's talking about wrists. And I think that that's an interesting concept to kind of bring into the song at this point, especially because if the singer was cutting, is it the scars and the fact that he's still alive that makes him be able to prove that they're better? Like, look, I'm better than this. I'm alive and I'm here, and it's, even though I don't maybe want to be here, I'm still here, so that makes us better together because that means I'm still here? Or is it that the singer has not been cutting at all and is like, look, man, my neck might be not okay because this is the way that I'm thinking of ending it, but my wrists are fine because they're not cut and they're not injured, and look, like I am better. So I think that's a really interesting line. And again, I would love to really kind of delve into that line and really know what it's about. But definitely something that kind of caught me off guard listening to it again and being like, oh, wait a minute, like now we're talking about wrists after talking about, having a noose and a casket and stuff. So definitely an interesting line, especially given the content of the song. And then also another line is, don't leave just yet. I didn't mean any of what I just said, which is what I kind of talked about with the whole door, right? He's screaming, this person is leaving, and the singer is screaming for them not to leave. Clearly there was some kind of altercation. So I think that that's an interesting line. But then really the last two lines of this whole bridge part is just what really like takes my breath away, chokes me up, definitely just kind of gets me. So the line is, you sigh and say I'm through. And this line is repeated in the background. And then it goes into a foreground line of, well, goddamn you for breathing, I love you. And then I love you is repeated like 3 or 4 times. And just the idea of sighing, first of all, like I'm through, like that's it. Like this person is just resigned and just, I'm through. Like, you, not in an angry way, just in a, I'm done, I'm through. But really the line that totally grabs me is breathing, I love you. It just is such an intimate and just totally like romantic thing, right? Like, you're not saying it, you're not speaking it, you're not shouting it, you're not, pronouncing it. You're breathing it. Like, I love you. It just is so personal, and, to speak on a breath, you need to be close to hear it. I really love that image of breathing words instead of just saying them and speaking them. So that just to end the whole bridge after all this other stuff has happened, it's just so good. And then to repeat the line, I love you, I love you, I love you. It just really makes this song so good. Just so good. So then the music changes into like this transition stage. And then kind of goes back into more of what the music had been like for the rest of the song. And then it ends with a repeat of a couple lines which are new in the song, but it talks about drinking and how, this person is going to dive into drinking and either sink or fall asleep, which I think is super interesting because now we bring it back to the beginning, right? That first verse that talks about being out cold and kind of finding yourself. But I also think it's interesting because the lyric at the end is that I'm going to dive into this drinking and I'm either going to sink, right, which could be that out cold state, or I'm going to sleep. So I do kind of love that they brought back this drinking from the beginning and have now potentially given the singer the opportunity to sleep while being drunk. So, or, I just think it's interesting because they said, don't think, don't sleep, just drink, right? So you're getting that idea of, passing out cold, which is different from sleeping. But now at the end of the song, they're saying, look, I'm going to dive into this drink and I'm either going to sink into it or I'm going to sleep. So I do love that they kind of brought it back. And so I think that was a really good choice. And then once those lines, so that line repeats twice. And then the music kind of takes you to the end of the song, but instead of like decrescendoing, it totally like crescendos and builds and then just cuts off. So yeah, really great song. Definitely some really powerful things talked about. Some interesting uses of how the singer describes certain things. And again, really interesting, like that sound in the background. For a very long time, I thought it was supposed to be a gunshot and that was supposed to be the end of the singer's kind of like time, but now I'm thinking it's the door slamming, which definitely kind of intrigues me and makes the song totally different from what it was for like years and years and years. And again, please, if you feel like you need to talk to anyone, please call 800-273-8255 or text HOME to 741. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Really, Park is such a wonderful band, and I wish they had just like blown up, because this album, It Won't Snow Where You're Going, is just so great. The song Conversations with Emily is just wonderful, and also about me. No, just kidding. Emily is definitely a good song, but yeah. So I hope you guys learn to like love this song as much as I did. Listen to it, check it out, and I will see you guys next week for a new one. All right, bye.